Mr. Mahesh Jain, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for being at the Interspecies Money Movements at Atria. Welcome, sir. With your substantial career as a serial entrepreneur, you have co-founded and built many innovative companies in various domains. Can you tell us what motivated you to invest your time and effort on the sectors such as climate services and education?
Sure. I think the roots go back to the fact that we want to pay back something to the country, and the society which gave us education. I got educated in IIT, so I always remain indebted to the government, who perhaps funded the whole education at a very low cost. Similarly, in Indian Institute of Science. So there was always a force that the moment we have some money, we should use it for that. So first we invested in greening the earth. So somebody wanted to create power from trees. That means they plant some 100 acres, 400 acres of trees, and 100 acres they cut every year. And 4 years, it'll again grow back to the same height. So then we said, okay, that's an interesting thing. The moment we made some money by selling one of our companies. So the first thing was to invest out there, actually, and say that we'll help you do something like that. So they set up a power plant and so on and so forth. Although the project didn't really succeed, but effort was to make sure it succeeds, actually. And prior to that, we were educating the people in rural India to use the computers, because ADAT's one of the NGOs that we came across while we were in Bangalore, 100 kilometers from here, which was using the Unix computers way back in 87, 88, okay. And they were using their accounting and trying to have a system which will give them the about 98 or 99.8% return of the money what they're giving to the farmers or the social groups for growth. So that impressed us a lot, and we got associated. That's an NGO, so we got associated with the NGO work during that time. But we were not having sufficient money, so we sort of stopped there, except giving education to a lot of people whom they could use computers comfortably. And subsequently, when in 2007 we sold our company, one of the companies, and we got some money, so we started investing in the social cause. And from the technology, Unix to imaging technology to your mobile wireless, global technologies, we actually went back to the rural technologies. So we invested in the financial inclusion and set up machinery all around the country to serve the this one. And we built the most focus was for the last 15 years. It's been the financial inclusion. So they built all the technologies, services, and that democratize the whole system of delivering the financial services as well as the technology behind that. So this actually was no surprise for us, because we won even the best socially most responsible company of the country. MSME award a few years back. So being sort of DNA itself imbibed in that, when we saw this opportunity that you're talking about the environment, and especially, and we were fairly well entrenched in environment since 2009. We started Fair Climate Network, one of the co-founders there, and the whole idea was some 40, 50 NGOs they could join, and we wanted to do the pro-poor development, which is save the carbons, and they could be then sold to the international market and raise funds which can be paid back to the guys who have actually worked for it. So that's the basis. So it was natural that when we hear that Interspecies money, it interested us a lot. That it's an ecological system brought together, that humans should pay back those who are also helping humans to survive.
Seems like they're already been
absolutely
doing this.
So there's a reason that I feel
Great,
that
great,
it was that.
fascinating, very inspiring. Through your work with Integra Microsystems, you have significantly contributed to banking, insurance, and e-commerce sectors. How do you foresee these sectors interfacing with the interspecies money movement and contributing to wildlife conservation?
Absolutely. See, what our thought process was, interspecies money, when it was presented, it actually coincided with our other thought. We said, even the carbon generation, carbon savings, what we call as CR, there are two types: the pro-poor carbon and the carbon through the technology, saving of the carbon. So let's say you modify some braking engines or braking on the rails or something, you will save some carbon. So that can be sort of sold in the market and you can generate something. So you work in technology to do that. Second is that you actually work on the human lives, okay, like women and women in a rural India, and they sort of do something which will result into a carbon saving. So this become pro-poor methodology for carbon saving. Now these are valued at a higher value because they bring in not only the carbon savings, but also a lot of benefits to the people who are participating in it. Let's say in near Anantapur and the Bagipalli area, we had something like 100,000 biogas were set up in Bagipalli, and neighboring area was some 17, 18,000 which was set up. Now these were like 4, 5 families who have perhaps some animals who would use the gobar or the cow dung and put it in the, this biogas, generate the gas which will be used for lighting, not lighting, but cooking. Correct. Now this was a successful thing. The money was given by the overseas, I mean it was pre-funded by overseas client as a pre-trading of what will be generated. So that money was used to create the biogas, and then for 7 years, I think whatever savings was done in the carbon was given to that company to trade it in the international market. But after 7 years, these families now have an income of 1,500 or so per year, and not per month or something, per year, for using the biogas. Great. Because the carbon savings are still happening. Yes. So I think the whole idea was, if you create the pro-poor carbons, and the value should be done through the social enterprises, right? So that means the company which is trying to buy it, it should value it more because it's been coming from pro-poor sources. You are enriching the lives of those people. Correct. As well as you are saving the nature. Yes. So therefore, our belief when the interspecies money came in was to think of a digital currency which can be valued by the social sectors. Yes. That means a company trying to, let us say, I am trying to use, let's say, 1 rupee, e-rupee, for example of understanding. And let's say e-rupee, which is a digital currency. Now, if I want to buy something for e-rupee, and if he's going to get the money through e-rupee, perhaps he should give me more quantity for the same thing because it's been generated through the pro-poor carbon saving or pro-climate or pro-this one. So we got quite excited about it, that the financial technologies, what we are working in, are e-commerce technologies. It should perhaps try to build something which will make this happen. That means the people should value the source of generation. So if it is got generated by wildlife conservation, so that means the value of that, though you're giving $1, but its real value should become maybe $5, $4, because it's being used for a different cause. Okay. So that's a thing that we have in mind, and that's what we thought, that these technologies, especially commerce and banking, should come in aid of this kind of thing. So we work in AI and these 3 areas.
As the chairman of the business correspondent of Federation of India, you have gained a deep insight into financial inclusion. So how could this knowledge be applied to create an economic value for species and promote conservation? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm sure the question is very relevant, that does the inclusive growth, see, what was a financial inclusion? It was essentially making the formal financial products and services available to more people, right? To the remote people where these services cannot be offered with the given technology. So use the business correspondent to lower the cost and make this available at that. Because otherwise the person, if he wants to get, let's say 10,000 rupees withdrawn from the bank, if he has to go 9 kilometers to a bank branch and come back, in the rural sector, it might cost him half a day or a full day. Yes. So that is the investment just to get his money out from the bank. So why would he keep it in the bank? Okay. So this sector actually solved that problem, that okay, the financial packages, whatever are there, can be offered by one guy in the village as a village banker or a business correspondent. He only have to go to the branch to do some transaction. Remaining, he could do the transaction for all others, right? So now coming back to the, say, interspecies money, you're talking about the forest and the other species living in the, perhaps not the cows and buffaloes. Okay. So if these species, again, you require some correspondents who can help you first to open the account. Open the account in financial sector was one. Here to identify the person, that means identify the species, and then open an identity account for that species. So this again has to be done by the human, right? It can't perhaps be done by the automation as much as of now. Yes. Maybe in future it might. Yeah. So this is again comes up as a business correspondent or nature correspondent or somebody. So he is going to help us open the accounts for all these animals, identify those animals through the AI or through this one, like Aadhaar was used here. Similar to that, we can use it for animals, right? And once the account is open, then obviously the interspecies money can come in there as their rights. And though the physical money may not be there, but the rights can still be given. Yes. And as the people start contributing towards the wildlife or for this interspecies money, its value keeps going. So even if I have $1 million, it may be worth, because the demand is higher, could become $10 million because it's valued more. Then in that case, this currency, whatever is created, can help the system. So I think the business correspondent will help in terms of onboarding the species. It will help in terms of looking at their needs or spending any kind of intervention required. Let's say you award a project to somebody to create a fence or create more grass or something. Now, here again, some representative will be required to carry out this. So business correspondent is one of such possibilities. It's some kind of human agent who can oversee the work or carry out your work in the interspecies money related matters.
So looking at your profile, sir, I see you're an educationist and a member of FAER Foundation. How important do you think the role of education in fostering awareness and participation in conservation efforts like the interspecies money movement?
Yes, I think it begins something like this. When you ask somebody social corporate responsibility or, corporate social responsibility. Yes. So how many people understand what it means, right? So how many students will understand what it means? So can this first be changed to perhaps corporate instead of social? It could be the climate responsibility or ecology responsibility. Then perhaps the student will perhaps look at it, what do you mean by ecology responsibility? And then it might start thinking the ecology is how more important. And one should look at in all aspects, whatever we do, ecology also, treat the animals also the part of the same thing, same system, because they are helping us live. So this education requires a lot of popular, science and the popular papers to come out, the movies to come out for the students, and a lot of projects need to be awarded in the colleges and the schools which refer to this particular subject. So the awareness goes up, and you need to create awareness even on the advertisements or the popular media like social media, TV media. So that's where I think the education plays a significant role. More people become aware, the value what you have in physical dollar and the currency value will become higher, because the people think that you are doing something for their environment. And children should know that how important is an elephant, not as something to watch in a century and just come back.
Yes.
That is very much part of the same environment we are living in, and what's a contribution and what is the carbon saving, why it is so important.
Yes.
I think it requires a massive change in our education system. And I feel that FAIR, which is essentially trying to do at the polytechnic and engineering level, this has to go below that as well. And we run a program called TBR, Technology Barrier Reduction. So something like that program has to come, the ecological understanding or something, where students are gathered, they're given some training on the ecology for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the quizzes, and they're all funded. And this will then spread. They'll go back to the village and they start talking about ecology. They start talking about interspecies money. So I think there's a lot more can be done through FAIR-like organization. There are many hundreds of organizations in the country which can be put together this topic. How do we integrate to the human life the other lives which are supporting us, other species which are helping us? So that's something which is there. And also, I think as far as Jonathan Legard talks about that the 50% of the species have vanished since 1970 itself. And it is also believed that half of them are yet to be discovered. What we discovered are the large ones, which we can see are contributing. But there are a lot of small species which are also helping the ecological system, which we don't understand as of now. So there's a lot of research also needs to be done. So education has to go to the higher level, where PhD and the research topics are given on to discovery of that and see their role in the climate. And I think both ways it's very essential to work in that kind of topic.
Very true. Sir, gaining your experience with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blockchain, how can these technologies be effectively integrated into an open source platform? That is what exactly we are talking about here. As an interspecies movement, we really want to come up with an open source platform. So what are your thoughts on it? And how can we assign an economic value to each species?
See, it's a very interesting topic. At the same time, it's very tough topic. See, what has happened is, after the ChatGPT came in, it has taken over the language.
Correct.
That means whether Mahesh Jain is speaking, I mean, not speaking, I mean, writing that, or ChatGPT writing it, you will never know it, right? Unless a ChatGPT puts a watermark and you try to figure out, yeah, this text has been written by that. Yeah. So language side, they're mastering slowly.
Yes.
A couple of years. So today what they can do is they can compose music, they can write text, they can do conversation, then they can do the coding, and they can do painting or creating the movies. Okay. Now, so what else is left? They can create God, they can create religion, they can influence democracy, they can do many things. So AI, if you look at it, it's a massive revolution which none of us, at least I couldn't think a year back perhaps, though I've been working in AI, that the impact will be so powerful. So right now, the AI and the humans, so AI could be very dangerous as well as very useful. So when you come to, let's say, managing a large, vast network of, let's say, the power lines or wildlife imagery or any such thing, humanly impossible, or impossible meaning it will require a very large number of people, so it becomes unviable to do that. But AI can do that. It understands the images, it can influence the people, it can influence it can analyze and come out with a more effective solution. Like power lines are going through the forest, you're optimizing that particular thing. So it can do a lot of optimization, and it can also help us um, figure out where things are going wrong. Like if the imagery is active, I'm sure that if a wildlife animal is going to hit the train or something, perhaps it can give warnings to the system. It can automate many other things. So it can help us tremendously in managing the wildlife and other ecological system. In fact, what it is being stated, the climate change, which is such a massive exercise to be undertaken, it's AI which can be a key role player in that, a significant contributor to that.
Yes.
So this is where we come in from. And ML helps you perhaps getting all the data, creating the model, which can actually predict and which can help us understand it better and
Yes.
make better decisions. So I think AI ML is definitely a very significant role player in our this interspecies money, or the um, inclusive of inclusive growth with animals and humans, if you put it as. So I think
Yes.
it's going to play a significant role as far as we are concerned.
Obviously, yes. I think already that buzz is around, and people have started using it in a different sectors and domains, and it's
It's
changing.
just the beginning, right?
is.
And
Yes,
I
it is.
think I when I was studying, I mean, not studying, even in 90s, when we first time the mobile phones came in, I am sure that it was a most wonderful thought, because in 80s in India, I remember to make a call to Bangalore also, I used to go to Eastern Court. We were in Delhi, Eastern Court, Delhi, and sit all night actually, because we just book a trunk call, and when it will come, we don't know actually, right? And then it became that it's there in my pocket, and I told my dad that I'm coming on this particular date or something, and if my train is late by some time, I think there was anxiety in the house. What happened?
Yes.
Today, all that is gone. So it made tremendous difference in about 2 decades or 3 decades of
Yes.
time. But technology has shrunk. What used to be 2 decades can be 2, 3 years, or not more than 3 years.
Yes.
Or 5 years. So what we are seeing is the impact of this technology now in the next 5 years or before the end of this decade will be phenomenal.
Phenomenal, yes.
So we can actually start thinking and harnessing, because our ability to build any system still slow. Takes years before it's proven, it is good to the use, the regulators allow it, and then put it. And by the time the other thing would have taken up, and the systems will become much better off. Actually.
True, very true, very true. Sir, with your vast experience in creating and leading tech-focused companies, what advice would you give to technology professionals and entrepreneurs looking to contribute to wildlife conservation and the interspecies money movement? Especially the startup people. I mean, I believe that a lot of startups are coming up in this domain nowadays. What are your thoughts on it, and what advice you have for these people?
The entrepreneurs and people available to all at a very low cost, so that it becomes democratized. So I think that's key message that I would like to perhaps give it. AI is one such tool. I'm sure there are many other things. And lot of innovations are required. So it's a fertile field for the young minds to innovate and create the world, including the meta world. The guy can create forest meta world, and that could be a new game series can act, and that can generate money for the conservation of animals.
Trending technology.
Right. So I think India is the most fertile country. When you say gods, what is a god? We created it. It's a meta thing. It doesn't exist, but it's there in our heart. It is there in our mind. It is there everywhere, and we do everything towards it. So we are used to live a meta life, right? And now you got an opportunity to create it over the digital world. So I think India should lead that particular thing. That's what I feel.
Sir, as you know, here at Atria, we actually specialize in interdisciplinary and inclusive STEM education. Do you think students being introduced to an unconventional education setup can actually help movements like this? And what difference would it make in the future if universities are, sort of doing this sort of approach towards education?
I must congratulate Atria University for taking this up. Because see, if you look at India, we are perhaps leading in terms of creating the digital infrastructure. Right? India Stack is one such example. iSpurt is another organization which does that. And we have been successful as a country to create a good financial digital system actually, and it's still growing. This initiative does two good things. A, the young minds are made aware that there is another animal who is also contributing to your life, which you are not aware of, how it is contributing. So it's an inquiry into the nature. It's an inquisitiveness. It makes it to think what all contributes to our life. Okay, so that's a good thing. So that's a part of the education. Second good thing is to start with the interspecies money. Start thinking, how do you make them inclusive to the human society? The money itself means that it's a biggest invention. What happened is for exchanging the values, exchanging the goods, because the common standards was formed, and that's called money or the currency. And we are talking about now the new common standard, which should help us exchange with some value associated with this. So already the world is talking about ESG, world is talking about the sustainable development, paying more for the sustainable development. If a goods coming in from a sustainable sources that's helping the society to grow, then the value is given higher. So I think it's a very good step, and many other universities must join this. And I think Atria should take lead to propagate it to all other universities and create like NGOs forums, or like it's a forum where many universities join. So at least you would have done a great job of making the awareness in this area to the young minds, and then one can go to the school level and try to do something else.
Sir, it's been a really great, productive talk that we had. Thank you so much for all the insights that you have given. I believe that many points were very specific related to the movement that we are trying to do here. And thank you so much for your time, and we look forward meeting you again in future in order to collaborate and learn more from you. Thank you so much for the time.